We approach game week 7 in the Premier League, the last one before yet again another international break. But this weekend could be a big shift in mentality between Arsenal and Liverpool. Both teams played in the Champions League this week. Arsenal beat Olympiacos 2-0 and kept another clean sheet. Meanwhile, Liverpool lost to a Victor Osimhen penalty away out in Turkey. And I'm looking at this Premier League weekend, and Arne Slot has already said that Alisson is ruled out of the Chelsea game. Now, for me, Chelsea this season have been disappointing, but they are due a win. They haven't faced a tough fixture, really, other than Manchester United, and they lost that. They have been without Cole Palmer for the last 2 games as well due to a groin injury. That fixture, I was right about the Crystal Palace one. I said Crystal Palace would get an upset. I honestly believe that game ends in a draw. And what adds significantly more pressure is the fact that Arsenal play at 3 p.m. against the West Ham side. Only West Ham could play 5 matches, win a game against Nottingham Forest, sack their manager, and the only team they beat, they ended up employing that manager. Nuno Espirito Santo travels to the Emirates, and West Ham have won their last 2 games there in all competitions. It won't be an easy game for Arsenal. And you look at the Olympiacos press yesterday, they made it difficult in the second half for Arsenal. And Arsenal couldn't really play through the press. Martin Odegaard was absolutely sublime. But I believe Eberechi Eze should be starting this game. Martinelli was on the score sheet. We're also going to look at Liverpool travelling to London to play Chelsea. I mean, it's going to be a fantastic game week. Make sure you go down, drop a like on the video if you haven't already, and let me know your thoughts. We are on the road to 100,000 subscribers. I think we are about 700 away from, or nearly 600 away now from 80,000. If you haven't already and you enjoy the content, 92% of you, yes, you, Tottenham, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal fans, everyone that watched this content, 92% of you who have watched the content throughout September were not subscribed. So please go down and hit that subscribe button. I want to look at the Premier League table first. This is the current Premier League table. Liverpool on 15 points, 5 wins, 1 defeat. Arsenal on 13 points. Crystal Palace could end this weekend top of the Premier League. That would be absolutely insane. If Arsenal lose to West Ham and Liverpool lose to Chelsea, Crystal Palace could be top of the league. Let that sink in. What a job Oliver Glasner has done. The only team who are unbeaten in the Premier League is Crystal Palace. There's been a lot of teams so far that haven't been that great. Man City have underperformed. Chelsea have massively underperformed. Aston Villa and Newcastle have also underperformed. Man United. The fact that Aston Villa didn't score a goal for 3 games or only 1 point behind Man United now should be spoken about a hell of a lot more. We're going to start with the game at 3 o'clock, which is Arsenal versus West Ham. Now, for me, there is only one winner in this game. No doubt. Arsenal, for me, win this fixture. West Ham do make it hard at times. 81% chance win probability. Only 6% chance West Ham. West Ham this season have been leaking goals left, right, and centre. I think they've actually conceded the most. It might be them or Wolves that have conceded the most goals in the Premier League, which is absolutely insane. They conceded 3 against Forest, 2 against Palace, 5 against Chelsea, 3 against Sunderland, 3 against Spurs. They leak goals like they're a sieve. They've conceded 14, the worst defence in the Premier League, -8 goal difference. And if you look at the Arsenal team that played against Olympiacos last night in a 2-0 win, there was so many players not in the starting 11. No Declan Rice, even though he come on. No Bukayo Saka in the 11, even though he come on. No Eberechi Eze, he come on. No Noni Madueke, because of course the injury to him. Gabriel Jesus, Piero Nkapie, Kai Havertz. And when you look at the Arsenal bench yesterday, for me, it is the best squad in the Premier League. That bench is absolutely stacked. Nwaneri, Dauman, Eze, Saka, Mosquera, Timber, Rice. It's full of It's full of quality to the highest level. You know, they are a really, really, really good side. Let's just call it as it is. They are a top side now, Arsenal. You know, you look at that bench, that's probably the best bench in the Premier League. Now, I do think they win this game. It'll be massive in a shift of mentality. You know, if they, since that Liverpool game, which was on the 31st of August, they've gone on to beat Forest, Bilbao, drawn with City, beat Port Vale, beat Newcastle, beat Olympiacos. And when you look at their next 8 Premier League games, or 8 games in all competitions, I'm going to say they're going to win minimum 7 games here. You know, the fact that out of these games they play, you know, Brighton, which is a tough game at home, Atletico Madrid, which is a tough game at home, Palace, a tough game at home, Slavia Prague, Sunderland, and Burnley should be nothing more than 9 points as a bare minimum. But these 2 games is which will tell me a lot about Arsenal, because in the last couple of years, they drew at Craven Cottage. They lost to West Ham at home in the Premier League. If you can get 6 points here, Arsenal fans, I think that is a massive, massive improvement going into, going into the international break. 3 points against West Ham will be massive for them, especially for Arteta, looking at the fact that since that defeat against Liverpool, look at the results they've had. Clean sheet against Olympiacos, clean sheet against Port Vale, clean sheet against Bilbao, clean sheet against Forest. 4 clean sheets in the last 6 games, with a significantly easy run of games. Even after that, they play Tottenham and Bayern both at home. So even in their most difficult fixtures, they're still playing them at the Emirates, which you would expect, on the balance of things, Arsenal to pick up wins at home this season. That's probably where they're going to get the most wins. Let's just be brutally honest about it. You know, when I look at Liverpool, this is where it gets interesting. This is where it gets incredibly interesting. Liverpool won 7 games on the bounce and were scintillating. They were absolutely incredible. You know, beating Bournemouth. I mean, look at these results. Beating Bournemouth, beating Newcastle at St. James's, beating Arsenal, beating Liverpool away in the dying minutes, beating Atletico Madrid in the dying minutes, going and beating Everton in a Merseyside derby, Ekitike scoring the winner against Southampton. And if you look at the lineup that played against Everton, this lineup here, that is going back to basics. Szoboszlai in the 10. Florian Wirtz hasn't been that good, let's just be honest. I do think some of the criticism is OTT. However, the performance with this lineup, Conor Bradley for me is the best Liverpool right back. I think they need to go back to Robertson at left back just for the meantime. Now, Frimpong, Kerkez, and Florian Wirtz, you got 2 situations here. The first situation is you keep playing in them and hope in time they come good, or you start dropping and rotating players more, but that can also massively, massively hurt their confidence. I think Szoboszlai has been one of Liverpool's best players this season. Scored a worldie of a free kick against Arsenal. Has played in at right back. Can play in the 10, can play in the 8, can play in the double pivot. Very, very, very versatile player. But I do think Conor Bradley is a better right back, and he should be, because after all, he is a right back. Salah and Gakpo out wide, I think, is what they need to do. And I think when you look at the lineup this weekend, Alisson Becker's not going to be there. I'd go Georgie Mamardashvili, Conor Bradley. Konate is rumoured to be dropped, so it could be Gomez and Van Dijk. Robertson, Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai, Salah, Gakpo, Isak. I think at this moment in time, with players available fit, because Ekitike apparently has an injury, but we'll have to see how he gets on. That, for me, is their best lineup. You know, but then when you look at the lineup he's played in the Champions League away at Galatasaray and away at Crystal Palace, you know, it's slightly different. Isak up top, Florian Wirtz on the left. You know, I'm not sure how I feel about that. This was in the Crystal Palace defeat. Then you look at the lineup he's played in against Galatasaray, and it was a very, very, very strange lineup. Frimpong out on the right, Szoboszlai back in at right back, Curtis Jones in a double pivot. Just play Conor Bradley and Robertson. On the right, Salah. granted, you have to give players rest because the rotation, of course, is incredibly important. However, like, they couldn't handle a 35-year-old Ilkay Gundogan's press. They couldn't. That at times they were outmuscled by Lamina and Torreira, former Southampton and Arsenal players. And Victor Osimhen gets the penalty. You can talk about the penalty decision so the cows come home. At the end of the day, he dispatched it. So it was a good enough penalty. And you look at this. I mean, just go back to basics, Slot. Then when you also look at the Liverpool fixtures they have got coming up, I'll be honest, it's not going to be easy for them. It's really, really not. When you look at these games right here, Chelsea, Man United, Crystal Palace again, Frankfurt away, Brentford away, Aston Villa, Man City and Real Madrid. I mean, if Liverpool are going to go if they're going to have a so-called downfall, this is where it's going to happen. Last year, everyone was giving them huge praise because of what we saw recently in terms of, last season, Liverpool haven't played anyone, etc. Back-to-back defeats is going to hurt them, but I don't think it's a huge panic. If Alisson is out long-term, we will see what Georgi Mamardashvili's got, won't we? But let me see your comments down below. Make sure you drop a like, make sure that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. I'm out.